call the meeting to order at 5:30. Any public appearances, non-agenda items?
Nope.
Nothing there. And Wendy, I'll send it over to you before approval of minutes.
Yes. So just a couple of changes that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. And these are both coming out of the trustee training that happened a couple of weeks ago through South Central and the Wisconsin Library Association. There was a session that was presented by a professional parliamentarian. And there were a couple of things that Toby and I both noted that we could change. First of all, being that for a board under 12 people, you do not need a second. So we will be doing motions, but not seconds from now on. The other change we're going to make is that we are going to pare down the minutes quite a bit. So when we started having board meetings 12 years ago, our very first administrative assistant was a very detailed note keeper. And I think people enjoyed that at the time. And so we continued on in that way. Technically, all we really have to record are the motions and the approvals and not all of the detail that we have been. I don't think we're going to go quite that bare bones, but we are going to back off quite a bit on the level of detail that we're including in the minutes. I can't recall a time that I've needed to go back and pull information out of that level of detail. So just so you're all aware, when you get the minutes from this meeting, they will be much briefer than they have been in the past. Anything to add to that, Toby?
Much to Maggie's delight, probably. And if Renee could turn on her video, that would be great. And you are muted. Thank you.
Hi.
Oh, you're in the car. We don't want you driving with the video on.
Right. Is that a requirement or something, or why'd you ask?
I asked because it was suggested at a meeting that I was at, and I didn't see it somewhere a long time ago.
The mayor has made the request so that people have their cameras on.
Right. But obviously we don't want you doing that driving and being dangerous. So, okay, doke. So we will move on to approval of the minutes. I would need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion, Toby.
Thank you, Anne. Is there any discussion of the minutes? Okay, if not, I'll call for a vote on that. All in favor of approving the August 2022 minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, Treasurer's Report.
All right, so this, you've got the register and the overview. This will be very quick because there was not a whole lot that caught my eye as being unusual. I did want to just pull one thing out in account number 345. That is printing, public information and printing. We have 2 orders. It looks like it's a duplicate. It's not. They're both to Minuteman. It's Sprint Print is our printer down the road. They, I think, have merged with Minuteman, and it's just brochures and bookmarks. So we had one order that we didn't get billed for until pretty late, and then we did a second order, and it came in at the same time, but it was the exact same order. So we did get that twice, and we have actually placed another one. The reason that we're going through those so much faster is that we're doing outreach now. So Minda is taking a lot of these materials out into the community. We've also had a couple of requests from like new apartment buildings that are opening in town, asking for materials for their new residents. So just wanted to point that out. Everything else on here seemed very routine to me. Were there any questions?
I actually had a question.
Yeah.
We're talking about the naming of, like the naming of things and minutes and things like that. It occurred to me that it's really not the treasurer's report. It's a financial report because
that is true. Yeah.
So I was just going to suggest we rename that agenda item.
As the treasurer, I feel like you get to make
because I'm not saying anything. So
Yep. I'm happy with changing that.
Good catch, Anne.
Right. Yeah.
If there are no questions, any more discussion, then I will ask for a motion to approve the financial register and the financial overview.
I so move.
Thank you, John. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, unfinished business.
Nothing there.
Thank you. Number 6, new business.
All right, so we've got the draft budget for 2023. And it was updated. So the packet was posted Thursday, and then we updated the budget on Monday, earlier this week. So this is sort of the last minute changing of the budget right before it gets posted to the public. So Misty and I were doing a lot of emailing and talking about how to balance the budget, and I have mostly good news. So you'll notice that the property tax levy is going to be at $2,170,815. That's about $120,000 increase. Part of that is net new construction, which came in at, I think, 4.16%, I believe. We're getting another increase from the TID closing. So that was, we were, if you recall, short when we looked at a draft before, but there was a TID closing that brought in some funds to the city. So Misty's thought process with that is that most of that's going to the general fund, but that part of that should come to the library as a way to make up for some of the increases that we're seeing with the staffing plan. So that worked out very nicely. We still have quite a few accounts in here that have been decreased since last year, and I'll go over those a little bit. The other increase in revenue that I put in, I increased the copy fees from 6,000 to 8,000. We are almost at 6,000 for this year, and we have not had print management for the whole year. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that we'll make it to 8,000, and that would be a reasonable increase for next year. So again, I'm going to say I'm really happy that we spent the money to put that system in, because that is paying off in the long run. Okay, so we'll go through salaries and wages. We don't have a lot of control over, so I still have not seen the pay study that was done, but it should be coming out, I think, in the next week or two. And that has all been fully included here. What I've been told about that is it is going to affect the lower paid parts of the pay plan more than the upper, which is great. It's exactly the way that it should be working. We've increased our shelters to $15, so it's time for us to increase the rest of them. I have asked everybody, or told everybody that I can at the city, that I feel like it's fiscally irresponsible to only do this every 8 years, and that I would request that they do it every 2 years from now on. I don't have any say in that, but I'm saying it anyway. I think that would prevent us from having huge jumps like we're going to see from this year to next year. When we get down into starting at like 240, so the contract section here, you'll see a big decrease in 240. That's repair and maintenance by others. We had 2 years of having $17,000 in that account just for the LED replacement project, and that has been completed. So I feel very comfortable taking this back down to 20,000. So that looks like a big, terrible thing, but it's really not. I think that's appropriate. We had a couple of decreases in 290. That's probably one of our bigger accounts for paying contracts. We moved pest control to a different account per Kevin's request, and we had a contract that we didn't have to pay this year and we won't have to pay next year it was from Envisionware for our RFID pads, and that was a decision that South Central made that we're going to benefit from. So that's all good. I took down the performer. You'll see here I'm shaving off a little bit kind of from everywhere so that it's not super painful in any one place. So we've taken some money out of our performer contracts. We've taken some money out of office supplies, training and travel. So everything's getting 1,000 here, 500 there, just so that we can balance this budget at the end of the day. None of it is super concerning to me. There's also in 355, there's almost a $25,000 decrease. That is actually just moving. We're moving the copier leases out of that account into its own account, which is 505. That's a new account for us. So that's really just moving. At the end of the day, what we're looking for here, you'll see that we've got a $247,000 deficit, but that is actually a balanced budget. That includes $227,000 from fund balance to cover the new sorter and $20,000 for strategic planning projects. This is the last year of our current strategic plan. I usually budget $10,000. I'm doing $20,000. That also comes out of fund balance. putting half of that into the 340 account, which is where we often buy things for strategic planning, but I also put 10,000 into 355 for furniture. We're looking at a corner of the youth area that we may try to make into a tween area, which is something that we're kind of lacking right now. We've got a great teen area, but not a great place for the tweens. So we're thinking about doing something in there. And I just want to make sure we've got the funds in the right place if we need it. So this is a balanced budget. Misty's happy with it. I'm happy with it. This is, I think, been published and is what is going to go to the city council. Any questions, concerns about what the numbers in here, the process, anything? I'm actually quite happy with this. I thought it was going to be a much more sad presentation. right up until Monday, I thought that. So it's turned out well. The TID closure, more information on that. There will be another TID closing next year, which will also benefit us. Our administrative fee will probably see a pretty good jump next year because of the departments that we pay for part of their salaries and wages. So we use a lot of the finance department, the HR department. There's a couple different departments that I think are going to be getting new positions. I don't have details on that, but Misty said she felt like doing this TID adjustment would help us this year and next year to cover some of that. So I feel good that we're pretty well placed for next year. I mean, who knows what else will happen between now and then, but so that's where we stand. Any questions or discussion? All right, then we should approve this. It's still a draft.
Thank you for your hard work on this, Wendy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I enjoy this part of it, strangely. Yeah, so we should approve this as a draft. So it will still go to the finance committee and it will still go to the council. I can't imagine that we would see a whole lot of changes, but I will definitely bring back the final version when it is finished. But it would be good for us to approve this just as the draft so that they know you've seen it.
Then I will motion to approve it.
So moved.
And all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are now up to President's Report. Wendy, I just wanted to ask a question there about that broken window that we had that was sort of shattered.
I'll get to that in facilities.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. So then I have nothing else. And
Excellent.
we'll go to the Library Director Report then.
I think everything I have to say is under the committee reports. So I'm going to
Okay.
skip the director report.
So we'll go to number 9, Strategic Planning.
So as mentioned, we do have some funds set aside for next year. It will be the final year of our strategic plan. And then typically we take a year off in between starting the new one. So tween area is a potential area. We haven't come to any decisions about that, but we'll think about that. Facilities is really where I have more things to talk about. The window that was shattered in the quiet reading room is still shattered. We've had 3 different companies come out. Some of them don't have the equipment to get up that high. One of them let us know that the windows are tinted, which I did not realize, and was able to tell us who had manufactured them. And then we were able to get a hold of the manufacturer, who then put us in touch with a company that has accounts with them so that they can get us the correct window. And they were out today. So they took some measurements. They looked at the inside, the outside to see what's going to happen. They're going to have to take off the trim and remove the window and replace it. We don't have a quote yet. We had talked about a couple of things. I had talked about taking that out of the CIP. I ran that by Misty, and she said unless it's over $10,000, it's not going to count towards CIP. So that may have to come out of our 240 account. We'll have to wait and see. We'd also talked about charging it to insurance. And then Kevin reminded me that the deductible on our insurance policy at the city is like $20,000. So chances are that's not going to work either. But we'll know more in a little while. I'm really just happy somebody came out and said they could do something about it, because I was really getting desperate to the point of like either companies weren't calling me back or they came out and didn't have anything to say about it. So I feel like this has to happen in other places, but it was a hard one to nail down. So he thought maybe a month to get the glass in. So probably by the end of the year. The other update is the security camera project. So we had the company that both the cabler and the camera company come out on Monday, and we did a walk around to talk about where we thought putting cameras was a good idea. What I think, and we'll get a report back from them that will make some recommendations. My thought is that, so we installed last year, I think, a 4-way camera outside the front door, and it's a really good camera. So we get 4 different views. The quality is really good. So my thought was that if we could use those in more places, they're more expensive, obviously, but you only have to cable once and you get 4 different views. So we looked at an area on a wall outside the play area in the youth department to add a camera there. There's a camera just outside the youth entrance that is currently a single view camera. So I asked about switching that over to a 4-view camera and then adding one upstairs, kind of across from the reference desk that would give us kind of the quiet reading room, the tech center, and the reference desk study room area. So we're still waiting to hear back from them. But the cabler was here, so that's always good to know that he doesn't feel like we're putting anything somewhere that you know, like if we were trying to go over the clear story, that can be a whole thing. So he seemed to think that we were reasonable. We also are looking at replacing a camera that is outside the drive-through garage door because that one has been malfunctioning for a couple of years now. So IT asked that we look into that as well. So I don't have figures for that either, but I hope to soon. Yeah, and that's good.
Okay.
Off drive-through or the garage door at the parking lot?
The garage door to the underground parking.
Okay. Is there a camera inside the underground parking?
Numerous ones, yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, we're going to move on to personnel, but Wendy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Jay is at a customer's house, and this is a closed session. Should we ask Jay to leave the meeting at this point then when we go to
Yes.
closed session?
I believe so,
And
yes.
so we should be, Jay, thank you though for joining us.
Yes.
All right,
And
well,
Ri-
I will be back in my car in a little while, so I may call back in when I'm able to turn the camera on.
Okay, we don't need the camera on if you're in the car. It's just, since we're going into closed session, it is
Right.
to be confidential. We don't want,
Nope, I totally understand.
thank you. And
Totally.
Renee, can we assume that you are alone in your vehicle?
Yes, I am.
Okay, then we will go to closed session.
All right, good luck. You may hear back from me in about 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I will need a motion to adjourn. Actually, I should tell you that the next board meeting is Wednesday, October 19th at 5:30, also through Zoom. And now I need a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries and we are adjourned. Thank you all for attending and for your work, and thank you for all your comments.